the meantime, you see the videos and the pictures of the oh-so-close presence of a Russian jet fighter to a U.S. ship. Now John Kerry's saying that was close enough to warrant ships shooting that Russian warplane down. The problem with that is, then what do you do about our ships similarly harassed in the Strait of Hormuz by the likes of the Iranians, in the South China Sea, by the likes of the Chinese? Former Pentagon spokesperson J.D. Gordon sees a pattern here, but I think on this, J.D., you say Secretary Kerry is right, that they should have shot this down. I heard another retired general saying, even if you're making that attempt and setting your sights on it, the people, the pilot would know that they've set their sights on it before firing a missile, so it would have the same effect. But you agree with that?
I agree with Secretary Kerry that the Russians are acting irresponsibly and we ought to do more. You know, we're really not respected again. That's why people like the Russians and the Iranians and the Chinese are trying to push us around. You know, history tends to repeat itself, and when great powers fall, others rise to take its place. That's why Russia's trying to scare us out of the Black Sea, out of the Baltic Sea. That's why the Iranians are trying to chase us out of the Middle East. That's why China's trying to chase us out of the Western Pacific. We're really not respected again. So we need a change of attitude in Washington.
How do you get that respect again, J.D.? Because a lot of people have said, I think it was Chris Christie when he was running for president, that if he were harassed or we were harassed in the South China Sea or these islands they're inhabiting now and militarizing and setting up, that it would be all but an act of war. Would it?
It could, but, you know, we have to do a few things. First is we've got to get tough on our enemies like ISIS. You know, we should have knocked them out about a year ago, so that's overdue. So we haven't been strong enough militarily. Also, with our allies, they need to pay a lot more than they are. You know, we're a third of the population of NATO. We pay 3/4 of the defense bill. So it's time for those nations to pony up and take more of a share of the burden. Same thing with our allies in Japan and South Korea. But here's another really important point, Neil. We have to defeat this international left movement of political correctness in America, like the George Soros movement's trying to convince Americans that we're the country of slavery, Jim Crow laws. They ought to just withdraw American power from the world. You know, an interesting story about George Soros. One of his close friends and a wedding guest in 2013 is the Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama. Edi Rama was just here in Washington meeting with our leaders at the White House this week. And you know what he was saying about Mr. Trump? He said he's a scourge of civilization. Well, yeah, this guy was a wedding guest to George Soros. So this guy's leading a corrupt parliament. He's tied to corruption. We ought to call out these foreign leaders that are trying to get involved in our politics and look at ties like to George Soros.
J.D., good stuff all. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks, Neil.